So Alexa says, is it better to create a deficit through calorie decrease or cardio increase? Personally, I'd rather a cardio increase, but there will come a time where you can't keep increasing cardio. You know, in an ideal world, when you're prepping for the show, you want your body you want your metabolism in such a state where it's not a state, but a good state, not a bad state, where it's able to process and digest and turn over food without having to do too much, so you're resting a lot. Cardio obviously detracts from some energy that could have gone towards training, but then you can't always just do more training. So there will come a time where you have to pull some calories. Just be smart with what calories you pull, where you pull them from, what part of the day. You know, the last thing you want to do is pull some essential, I say essential because they're essential in my eyes, carbohydrates from around a very heavy session. But you could certainly pull them from around other aspects or parts of the day. So, yeah. Chest advice, genetically weak. This is Flex J. I remember Flex Lewis talking about his chest being a weak body part. And he like literally just changed all of his movements to things like floor press, cable fly. You don't really see Flex using anything that doesn't converge. So basically what I've noticed is all the movements that someone like Flex will do, who is the first to say that his chest wasn't genetically strong, is movements that don't just travel on a back and forward plane, they actually travel on an inward plane as well. So you want to try and encourage that. You want to encourage that lengthening of the pec to shortening of the pec as much as possible. Whether that be through a converging press or a fly movement or both, then I think that's your best bet. I would hunt around until you find one of those that feels great, and I'd smash the shit out of it. Because like you might be one of them people that there's only 2 or 3 exercises you really feel on chest. So instead of doing 10 exercises, 2 sets each, just do 5 sets on something that you really, really feel. Yeah. I have pain in my left knee, and because of that, I can't squat. What can I do to fix it? Honestly, this is from Damjan, actually, it's from. You're going to have to go and see a specialist. I wish I could tell people what their injuries are just from looking at a text and just say, look, this is what you need to do. Obviously, we all get a few issues. I get a little bit of patella issue sometimes. It's not even really a pain, but if I don't put pressure around the knees with a strap or a wrap, they definitely don't feel 100%. Wear and tear is inevitable. All I can advise is critical warming up. Cycling on the bike before you even train legs, maybe 6 minutes on the bike. I would always advise as well doing 1 hamstring movement and 1 extension before even doing any pressing of any sort, so that you've got a lot of blood in both the hamstring and the quad. It's not even bad to do some abductor and adductor work first and then take it from there. But obviously if you're still getting pain after that, then you definitely need to see a specialist. Steve, Lifter of Worlds. I'm not sure if this has been asked before or not, but where in your workout would you place a heavy compound movement? At the start so you have maximum strength, or in the middle after you're fully warmed up, slightly pumped, even if strength wouldn't be as good, or even perhaps at the end? There's no real answer to that, because it's funny, because I've done preps, like last year, let me tell you when I was doing squats. I was doing barbell squats at the end of my workouts. I was doing everything else first. And it felt great. You know, we still lifted a good amount of weight. Could I have lifted heavier in the workout earlier? I don't know. I was still squatting like 6, 7 plates at the end. I think a lot of it is like, I think a lot of it's mental with how strong you'll be at the end of a session. I think you'd be surprised. Obviously for some of the smaller muscle groups like chest, yes, try pressing at the end of the session. I know it's incredibly hard. So I'd say it's body part dependent from what I've just said to you there, because obviously I'm just trying to evaluate everything I've just spilt out to you through my verbs. I would say like a leg day where you're using multi-joint movements, you could probably get away with doing something later in the workout. But if you're doing chest day, even though it's still a multi-joint movement, but there's a lot more emphasis just on the pecs alone. Something like pressing, I'd put like certainly first 2 exercises in, maybe second. Probably warm up on I still warm up on a press. I don't like warming up on a fly. I really don't like that. I think a press is a deeper, a better movement for putting blood where I want it for a press. I want them shoulders to get hot. I want them triceps to get warm. You know, I want the pec to get warm. a fly doesn't have the same effect on the elbow joint. You know, I want to get the elbows warm, basically. So I would probably press first 2 exercises into a workout. It's like barbells, rows. I do them second exercise. I do pullovers first in a session. So basically just warm the lats up, and then I follow that up with my big movement. So technically 1 exercise to warm up, and then move straight into your big compound in an ideal world. That's what I would suggest. Regarding gear, would you say less is more? What's allegedly being used in Kuwait? It's honestly scary. So, honestly, look, everything's fairy tales and wives' tales. Like, the only things you should listen to is that of which you know. I know people that are over there, and I don't think it's as bad as people think. So, I know people that are supposedly on more here. But less is not more. But more is not better. There's a threshold with anything. It's like supplements. You don't need any more than 5 grams of creatine a day. So is there any point to taking 20 grams a day? Probably not. And it's the same with anything, and that goes for gear as well. You use a certain amount, and you work out your blood work, you go and see a doctor, and you keep an eye on things. And as long as you're not getting side effects, then you're in a sensible place. That's where you work. Some great info there, James. Much appreciated, big man. No worries, brother. Let's have a look on here as well. What did you do for work, career before being a pro bodybuilder? So the last thing I did was coached, and obviously opened King's Gym. So I was working there for a little while, and I was coaching. I was pretty busy with coaching. I only like to take on about 10, 12 clients at a time. I don't like to spread myself too thin. That was before, obviously, I had a deep think, and I thought, you know what, this isn't for me. Before that, God, I worked for like all shit jobs, because I always knew I was going to be a bodybuilder. So every job I've done is just part of the process. It's a stepping stone. I've never done a job like this is going to be my job. You know, I worked in factories, fucking doing shit things like banging metal and God, you name it, the worst of the worst, getting paid £200 for a whole week's work, working like 9 hours a day. I've done it. But I all did it as a means to an end, because I was like, I'm a bodybuilder and I will be a professional and I will get paid. It was just there's the belief there that I had, which was obviously very important to have. I don't know. I just always had that. So thankfully, all these like jobs didn't ever stress me. Because if I was back then and I looked at them now and I was looking at how minimum wage I was getting and how much time I was spending basically just doing nothing and going nowhere, I could have been a very depressed person. But the bodybuilding and the dreams and the goals of that always kept me very much on a good path. So I've had really shit jobs, honestly, guys. I worked in like Virgin Active, Sporter. I've been an upholsterer. I've worked for removal companies. Like nothing of any quality. I'm not dissing anyone who does any of that, but nothing that required a degree, put it that way. Hello, Yannicka. Got a question?
I got a question.
What is it?
When are you going to play Warzone with me?
Yannicka's asked when am I going to play Warzone with her. When my squad's not full.
You should always prioritize.
I've always got a full squad. It's blame Mitch, blame Dunny, blame Julian, blame blame Louis. I will play with you soon. I need to keep her happy as well, don't I, guys? What supplements do you feel work best to aid you in your training? To feel, like the thing is, because you use the word feel there, it's quite simply like I like a pre-workout, because I like to get some energy before training. I like some, cognition. I like to use supplements when I game. I like to use my war games before I play PlayStation. So really anything that's like kind of driven towards performance that I feel, because I don't really feel, you don't feel the other supplements, you know. You're not going to feel a joint health supplement. You're not going to feel a protein powder. You're not going to feel, an MRE bar. Like, you're going to taste it. So really, when it comes down to saying to feel, I think that. But if you're looking from a perspective of what do I think is really important, though, anything health sup-wise, you know, anything that's going to provide you with any of your kind of astragalus, kidney support, liver support, heart health, because of what we do, I think it's so important to do that. So, you know, you can get like your foxtrot for joints, you can get your med kit for all-round health. Always worth taking your fish oils. Obviously, we've got our fish oils as well. So just things like that, just to keep on top of, your health factors. Harrison Jones, favourite video game soundtrack? It's funny you say that, because earlier my friend RJ sent me one of the songs from Bloodborne. It's called... I'm just going to check what it's called, because he just sent it. It's called the Bloodborne Moonlight Melody. I'm just going to play like a touch of it, because it shouldn't flag. If it does, we'll just cut it. But it shouldn't flag, because it's from a game. And it's a slow song, so it might not recognise it. So I just wanted to just hear what it sounds like. You'll just get the gist. It's not even music. But this is what we like listening to. Stuff like that. Like thought-provoking, crazy, H.P. Lovecraft, crazy shit. So that's what I kind of like. I'm not really even into like lyrics. I don't need lyrics. I just need good music, really, to be fair. So that's what I'm into. Proudest moment of your bodybuilding career so far? This is from Time is Muscle. I think my first pro win, Spain. Like, the second win is great as well, but like the first one's the first one, isn't it? And you're like, shit, I just managed to beat loads of people. And last year I was getting my ass kicked. So qualifying for the Olympia for the first time. This will probably change by the time the Olympia comes around. That'll probably be my proudest moment. But I think just winning the show and being considered, a champion pro bodybuilder, like, you wouldn't have seen it coming as a kid. You always knew you were going to do bodybuilding, but you never knew you were going to win a pro show. I was like, yeah, I could be a pro, but I didn't think anything would come of it, really, I suppose. And then the more time I spend here, the more I'm like, oh, it's realistic now. Like, things can happen. You asked me a year ago whether I could win an Arnold at Olympia. I was like, no, but now I'm like, fuck, maybe I can. And that's what we're working for. So that's my proudest moment, I think, so far. My mate Skivi's asked, what do I think of Yohimbine? Is it a good tool for fat loss? Greetings from Croatia. Greetings, Croatia. Yohimbine's very good for fat loss. I've always found it to be effective. Can't buy it everywhere. You can buy it, I think, in the EU and in America. I don't think you can buy it in the UK, but you can certainly buy it from EU stores. I like Yohimbine. It's something I would always use pre-contest. I always feel like quite good mood enhancement of it. I think it's good for libido as well. Dosage wise, I'm typically someone that would start like 5 milligram a day and maybe work up to 10. You can pretty much go on Google though probably and find a specific ratio of body weight to dose. But yeah, Yohimbine's great. I think it's very, very good. Judging by that soundtrack, you like Evanescence. Of course I like Evanescence. I've won multiple shows posing to Lithium by Evanescence. So yeah. Steve, yeah, Resident Evil 2 OG soundtrack is the best. Yes, it is. The Save Room is the best soundtrack music ever. As an assisted bodybuilder, do you follow a skincare routine? Probably more near the show. Do you know what I do? But where it's hot, I get rashes and I get ingrown hairs like crazy. So I've got like red pimples all over me right now. I don't do nothing out of the norm, but like I do. Some people jump in the shower and just fucking grab a bar of soap. I've got like good skin stuff. I've got good face stuff. I've got beard shampoo. I've got fucking hair shampoo. Like I try to look after my skin, but it's so hard right now because it's so hot, and I'm a relatively heavy person. Like I can sit in my chair upstairs, my gaming chair, and I'm pissing out sweat in 2 minutes, and it's like I've done a full day's work. And it's kind of inevitable that you're just going to get sweaty, and the sweat is the issue because the sweat's what causes my skin to get these blotches. So yeah. Connor, this is a good question. I'm going to answer this. How long before training should I rest after chopping? If you don't know what chopping is, chopping's having sex. So how long before training should I rest after chopping? It depends what day it is. If you're doing chest, don't even chop before training because you're not even going to be able to press. You don't even lift anything. Your arms will be weak. So, but if it's leg day, I think you can get away with it. And I'd probably say you need at least 1 meal in between. So let's say if I was to chop on leg day, I would eat a solid meal after that to recover from that event, and then I'll be ready for the gym. And make sure you use a pre-workout that day as well. You definitely need it. Yep, so Alexandra hates the hot weather as well. I agree. Have I ever played Dungeons and Dragons? I haven't, but it's like the original OG, isn't it? Everything like Stranger Things is all based off that. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. What's my opinion on Psalms from Liam Ward? I have no experience of them. I wouldn't suggest using them from, I wouldn't advise them because I don't know nothing about them. So that's my opinion on Psalms. Is it better to train a 4 split or push-pull legs 4 days a week? Both work. As long as you adhere to a plan, the plan's going to work as long as it's a semi-good one and not a stupid one. And neither of those plans are terrible. How long should you spend warming up with activation work as well before a session? In an ideal world, if I'm going to give you a straight answer, probably like 5-10 minutes. Whether your activation is doing activation movements or, heading over to the stretch area to do some like banded assisted activation work, either way, it doesn't matter. As long as you do it. Hi James, when you do a pull down movement, do you retract your scapula? Monkey pumpkin. It depends on what I'm trying to hit. So typically, if I'm trying to hit lat, if I'm lat focused, then I won't retract my scapula. I'll literally just keep my back flat and I'll drive down. So I'll literally just drive the elbows down and keep everything flat. But if I'm thinking about hitting the upper back and getting thick, then I will retract the scapula in order to kind of force the shoulder blades to close and just get a little bit thicker in the middle. Didon Dmpt, do you think that the Ifbb should have a natural pro league and possibly a natural Mr. Olympia? I don't think it'd harm them. I think it'd be good. There's enough room. We've got enough classes already. I don't see why we don't. Maybe the only problem with doing that is that by doing that, you're kind of saying, oh, this is the class that's not on gear. So you're kind of raising awareness to the fact that most bodybuilders take stuff. But it would be good because then you'd have the monopoly on all bodybuilding. And I know loads of good natural bodybuilders that want somewhere to go and compete. But at a fair level, not against people that are on gear. I think a lot of people would go to the Olympia weekend who are natural and watch it, if they could. Because there's loads of good natural bodybuilders. Any advice on differentiating? You should take a break and being lazy. Being lazy is for me. It's when I go stir crazy. Like you just know when you're being lazy. You know when you're making a decision based on the wrong reasons. Taking a break, you kind of got to force yourself to that point. Like train so hard that you need it. Being lazy is when you kind of choose to take a break when you didn't really fucking need it, in my opinion. And that's really the only difference. Is 7 litres of water a day for a 200-pound guy too much? And that is from No One For Now 4. Honestly, it really depends on the activity. If you're someone that's on your feet all day, and if you're sweating a lot, then obviously you're going to need more fluid intake than others. That is a lot of water, but I would always recommend most people drink 6 anyway, and that's like regardless of size. So, it's not too much more than what I would suggest. Ribad has said, the problem with the natural shows is it'll be too easy for geared athletes to pass the tests. Look how many get away with it in the Olympics, etc., and get tested way more. True, very true. So Alexandra, once the show is over, will you do an epic cheat day vlog? Of course we'll do an epic cheat day vlog. Absolutely, has to be done. Risha, mate, how long did it take you to be content and happy with your past struggle to learn to accept the spiritual aspects in life? I think every day that passes, you get that little bit closer to that feeling of acceptance and understanding. I think, and you'll only get more and more like that as you get older. I think it comes with age. I think we're not where we're going to be, but we're certainly on the way. I've always found that I'm humbled by the things that have happened to me, and I think friends that have been through similar things or worse are humbled by them as well. And it's up to you to choose to use the experiences as something that's going to give your life purpose and meaning, or an anchor. So really, it's just about your own perception of everything that you're going through and you've seen, and your environment. Like I say, choose the right environment, guys. I think we're literally like right near the end, aren't we? We've got 5. Got a couple more then. A couple more. Accutane and Bodybuilding. It is something that's commonly used if you suffer with acne. I would always suggest seeing a doctor, a blood work specialist. if you're going to use something like that, because obviously all these medications do cause changes to blood work. So definitely make sure you check that out. Ivan, this is definitely going to be on YouTube. That's what we're filming now. So we're going to do the whole video, will be up there and live probably later in the week, so you can have a look back and see some questions answered. We'll definitely do this a little bit more often as well. There's enough questions here for us to be able to do Q&As probably once a bloody month, but we'll see. We'll see how this one goes and the feedback. Last question, guys. How to bring up a lagging body part in general and specifically for arms. Cheers. So my arms are by no means my strong body part, but what I would say is this: you have to stop obsessing with them and overtraining them. Most people that have shit arms go in the gym and tag them on at the end every day and try to think, I need to get them to catch up. Playing catch up doesn't work. You really need to just bare bones it, find the movements again that work for you, stick to them, and make sure you're not doing movements that are a wasted time. If anything you don't feel, don't fucking do it. But also at the same time, to build a muscle, remember you need to have calories. You probably need to get a little bit chubby for your arms to grow. So you probably need to hit it off season. If you're lean and you're trying to get bigger arms now, it's the wrong time. And that's the same for any muscle group. Anything you're trying to grow, guys, you have to be in the upwards growth phase because muscles aren't going to grow when you're in a calorie deficit. So, yeah. So, guys, I've really appreciated this. Louis' open debut, I don't know when he's back better. Would I compete in Finland Pro? Yes, I definitely would. So, yeah, guys, that's it. That's fun. We'll wrap this up and, yeah, we'll do more. We'll see how you get. Anyone that hasn't seen the whole video, obviously check it when it comes out on YouTube. Get below in the comments. Feel free to leave future questions there as well. Because the more interest you show, the more that we'll be funded to do these videos and looked after by Redcon and be able to give you guys, hopefully, what you consider positive information. So, yeah, really appreciate it, guys. Thanks always. My Twitch handle is The Shed Is Here. So do come check it out. Mostly it's games, but we will do the odd chat because the guys in Twitch have said it'd be nice if we do a few more open chats. So I'll probably knock one of them off once a week as well. So come check us out there as well, guys. Peace.